Okay, there we go. So, quick overview. Thanks, Todd. Quick overview. In June of 2008, we had a catastrophic failure at our H1 data center. It resulted in a complete power loss to facility. Several thousand servers were down, and a lot of unhappy customers, but thankfully nobody was injured. And you know, in hindsight, that's one of the really good things, because somebody really could have been injured in this. We were able to restore power within 24 hours despite the total destruction of our power switching room. So there was a lot of effort to get that done, and we were able to get all of the infrastructure rebuilt and everything back on utility power within 3 weeks. So it was a pretty monumental effort. This is just a Google Maps kind of overview of our data center. If you look kind of in the middle, there is where the cluster of generators are. The facility has N+1 generator redundancy and UPS redundancy, but none of it mattered because of the nature of the failure. So what happened? Well, legal would have me tell you that root cause has still yet been determined. So we're still in a bit of a exploration and litigation phase. However, and I'm going to read this so that I don't misstate it in case my attorneys are watching. It may have been that the incident was caused by an electrical short in the conduit carrying the high power lines from the utility provider into the data center, vaporizing the groundwater in the conduit. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with when you run conduit through the ground, you'll typically get some groundwater in there through seepage. Over time, it'll just kind of get in there. But what may have happened is a rapid expansion of steam, and that's in quotes because it's kind of a joke around the office, but it may have resulted in the destruction of the transformer tie-in outside the data center, the destruction of the power switching equipment and the power room in the data center, and the destruction of the actual high power cabling and conduit in the ground. After this, we were able to make some changes, really from some things that we learned about how the data center had been originally constructed. By the way, this is a data center that we acquired, so it was one of those post-bubble acquisitions that were made. And some of the lessons learned I'll talk a little bit about. If you were one of those people who happened to acquire a data center like this, then there may be some things you want to take a look at. But some changes we made. We installed circuit breakers at the transformer itself to protect the long cable runs in the data center. And we do this on all of our new data centers that we're actually building ourselves. But it's a change that we made there, and we went back and retrofitted some of our older data centers. We've changed some of the diagnostic testing of the cabling itself. So we do some integrity testing prior to energizing the cable. And we also do it as part of our regular maintenance. So we have to actually disconnect from utility power and transfer to generators. And this has become standard operating procedure in all of our data centers now. In reconstructing this particular data center, we actually ran new conduit, applying some best practices around the spacing and the installation. So the original conduit was actually kind of piled on top of each other in dirt without any concrete poured around it. So we actually spaced it. It's a minimum of 3 inches apart now with concrete poured around it. And we actually spaced the generator and the utility conduits further apart from each other. One of the reasons the generators didn't help, aside from the power switching equipment being destroyed, is that all of the conduit was also burned up in the ground as a result of the shorts that occurred. So some of the things we learn, really need to do a deeper level of due diligence when you're purchasing a pre-built data center. It's real appealing to buy assets at pennies on the dollar, but you know, the things we kind of take away are, you know, the things you don't know, they're obviously going to burn you at some point. And the things you know will burn you later if you don't address them. So the things we knew about, we had done a lot of work to bring these data centers up to kind of what we considered our high levels of standards. But there were some unknowns that we didn't know about that obviously got us later. Some small improvements in our infrastructure and testing processes can prevent these issues. So, you know, you could have some really bright guys on your staff, but talking to some external folks from time to time will give you some different ideas about how you do your operations and management of that infrastructure. And then I can't overemphasize this part enough. Get good facilities, people. It will pay for itself later. my team did an unbelievable job. These guys worked 24/7 for 3 weeks straight, it seemed like, sleeping at the data centers in some cases to make sure that things were going well. And then kind of a business thing. If you keep a very open channel of communications with your customers, I think you'll be surprised at how willing they are to forgive you when things like this happen. We were, very pleased with some of the comments we got from our customers, despite the fact that they were adversely affected by all this. And now the photo show. So I know that Todd wanted some pictures. I'll describe some of these real quick. The photo on the left on this slide is some electrical switching gear. You can see the cabinet itself was actually blown out, and that was, I believe, a result of steam coming through some of the conduit. On the right is the hallway, and the power room was on the other side of that wall. So as you can see, there was quite a bit of destruction there. On the left side, this is some of the conduit and some of the burns on the conduit that was pulled out of that power room. On the right, it's a little hard to see, but that's actually the door that went from the power switching room into the UPS room, and it's been blown off. The wall's actually been blown off the building there. That's on the left, the same picture of the same wall, just a little bit better view. The next one is the ceiling. There were ceiling tiles blown all over the place. It's not surprising, actually. These are some before and after pictures. Well, I guess they're after and after pictures, really. But the two on the left are some of the cabling at the transformer tie-in prior to the work that was done to restore it. And as you can see on the right side, we also added some extra security around that just to make sure nobody decides to go up and monkey with it. On the left here is some of the charring in the power switching gear after we got some of that stuff out. It's kind of hard to make out. Some of these images were not mine. And then on the right is the same room after it's been restored. This is the switch gear. The transfer switch, again, you can see the bowed cabinets there from the rapid expansion of steam or air. And then on the right is the reconstructed room with the new ATSs. Just another picture of that hallway. You can see the wall kind of expanded out there. It's kind of a better view than I had. And then on the right was kind of the post-construction work. I wish I had some better pictures of the condo, but if you look in the upper left, you can see how the old conduit was run and some of the breaches in the conduit as a result of, well, we don't know what that was from, whether it was digging it up or whether it was there prior. And then on the right side, that's all the new spool, the wire that was put in. The left is how the conduit is spaced in the new installation. And on the right is really, I think, just a picture of them pouring concrete in. And that's all I have. If anybody has any questions, I will attempt to answer them. No? Sorry? I was not there. It was on a Saturday afternoon, but rumor has it there was a technician. We do 2-hour
Sorry,
site.
the question for remote viewers was...
Sorry, yeah, he asked how loud it was. There was we do 2-hour site survey where a technician walks around the data center to check for alarms and check environmentals, and he happened to be standing right by that if the story is true. And so he heard and saw the walls literally blow out, and he said it was pretty loud.
and by blowout, you mean expand rapidly?
It expanded rapidly, yes.
I just wanted to clarify
but it wasn't really an explosion per se. But it was quite devastating, as you can see. Any other questions?
Just quickly, thank you so much for the talk. Very interesting. There was a less physically dramatic but interesting set of power failures that were discovered to be related to a design flaw that happened with a number of data centers. Well, they found it in the Bay Area last year. Do you think that there's a set of engineering best practices that can avoid these sorts of things? Because obviously you had already put in a lot of money and a lot of thought to try to create the kind of redundancy you thought you needed, and in the end, it is possible that one kind of flaw, they had a completely different situation, but another single flaw.
Well, so I know that we're a member of the Uptime Institute, and they're kind of devoted to developing those best practices. So I would say that, yeah, as in any industry, those things are being evolved over time. As in every event, you try to walk away and learn something new. So hopefully we're able to bring something to the table there, and they can come out with better practices that we can all share in the industry.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Sure.